कुछ होने में और बहुत कुछ होने में इतना सा फर्क है, एक बार सोच के छोड़ देने में और लग के कर दिखाने में। मान लेने में कि जिंदगी ऐसे ही कटेगी और सुबह 4 बजे उठ के सोचने में कि अभी तो बस शुरुआत है। किसी मैगजीन को हाथ में लेने में और उसी मैगजीन के कवर पेज पे होने में इतना सा ही तो फर्क है। वीआईपी सीट में और उसकी पिछली सीट में इतना सा ही तो फर्क है। वो जिसका मैदान ही खुला आसमान है, वही कल जमीन पर तो था। पूछोगे तो बताएगा वो पंछी, ये एक दायरे में सिमटने में और पूरी दुनिया को दायरा बनाने में बस इतना सा फर्क है। इतना कितना है? इतना है या इतना है? जो नापेगा वो जाने कि जहां धरती और आसमान मिलते हैं, नानपुर से दूर, अगर मगर शायद से दूर, वहां भी दोनों में फर्क बस इतना सा है। धरती और 7वें आसमान में फर्क बस इतना सा। ये एक अंतर प्रेरणा है। ये हमारी, आपकी, हम सब की अंतर प्रेरणा है। एक कदम, एक छलांग, एक बाजी, एक गहरी सांस और एक ललकार खुली हवाओं में कि हाँ, मैं बना हूं उन फिजाओं के लिए, कि हाँ, मैं बना हूं उन ऊंचाइयों के लिए जो ऊंची तो बहुत है पर नामुमकिन भी नहीं, क्योंकि मुमकिन और नामुमकिन में बस इतना सा फर्क है। धूप छांव में फर्क बस इतना सा। तो बस चलिए फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया के साथ ये फर्क मिटा देते हैं। फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया, 20 years of ideas.
A very good afternoon to each and every friends who have joined us today for our webinar series. We, the entire team of Franchise India, welcomes each one of you to our Business Opportunity Over Chai webinar. This is a digital representation of the business opportunity which we have got for you. We have invited our brand so that Mr. Ali can showcase his business model with you. We get correct and complete understanding from him. Franchise India is Asia's largest integrated franchise solution company, which is helping day in, day out, all the investors in getting the business solutions, suggestions from our side. We have our reach and presence in 80 plus cities, and we are totally investor focused company. With this introduction, may I invite and welcome management team of Franchise India, Gaurav sir and Sonia ma'am. It is our privilege that they'll be sharing their thought process, their views and suggestions about industry, as well as about the brand. The brand which we are representing for each one of you is New York Chicken. And we have invited Mr. Ali to talk about how he has created presence in international as well as national market. Thank you so much, Ali, for joining in today. But formally, I invite you for the presentation and take us through the entire business model. I would like to invite Sonia ma'am to talk about our different initiatives which we have taken for all the investors under Bharat Franchise Show as well as investor program. Thank you so much, Sonia ma'am, for joining in. May I request you to please initiate our webinar?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ashna. And I'd like to also thank Mr. Ali for joining in from Bahrain. So friends, this is a very good opportunity that we are launching. And before I request Mr. Ali to come and present, I will just spend 1 minute to tell you about the Bharat show. This is a 100-day show that we started on 1st of June. And this show comes to every new city, every day, one new city that we come. And we've already done 9 editions of the show. And today is the 10th edition of this event. And we bring to you about 8 to 10 unique opportunities every day, which are appropriate for that market and have a potential in those markets to grow. And I will request everyone who wants to register for the show can do that in our link, which we'll put in the chat box. And at the same time, you can also go on the Facebook page of Franchise India Brands to register yourself. This is complimentary. You need not pay for registering yourself. I will also request friends, because this is the first time ever we are doing this kind of event. Most of the events that we do are more or less on a national level or a big regional level. This is the first time we have taken initiative that we go to smaller markets, micro markets, to personalize and bring a very curated offering for our investors. And the other initiative is that of Investor Advantage. In fact, we just concluded the Investor Advantage session before commencing with the Business Opportunity Over Chai series. So through this initiative of Investor Advantage, we also advise our investors on buying a business because we understand it might be challenging for an investor as to what to do, how to invest, where to start from. And sometimes the information which is available is also too much for somebody to comprehend what is right for them. So what we do under this program, we give you personalized solutions where our teams are partners which are present in more than 87 cities in India. They work exclusively with each member, giving personalized solutions, evaluating them opportunities. We also work with you on aligning these discovery days with brands that you have selected. And throughout your business buying process, from sharing information to helping you evaluate and finally having you selected and signing on the dotted line, this is where our entire team works with you. You can also register for a free obligation meeting for Investor Advantage on our hotline number. And now, without taking much time, I will request Mr. Ali, who is promoter of the company New York Chicken, to come and present the opportunity. And before Mr. Ali does that, I will also request if Mr. Ali can talk a little bit about himself, his experience to share with all of us. Over to you, Mr. Ali.
Thank you, Ms. Sonia, for the introduction. And I, first of all, it is, of course, a challenging time for everybody that we're going through at the moment with this COVID. But I myself, just to give you some background about myself, I've actually been working in this sector for around 15 years. And I've been through the different crises, whether it was the global financial crisis several years back, which was, I think, more than a decade ago, or also other crises. And this sector is very resilient. So I've worked with a number of brands, including Round Table Pizza from the United States, Second Cup Coffee from Canada, Yogurberry from South Korea, and other brands. I am based in Bahrain, but I've done work all around the world, including in the United States, in countries like Mongolia, and in India, and in the Gulf region, like in Bahrain, where I'm based also. So in terms of New York Chicken, and first of all, I just want to make sure everybody can see the screen with the presentation. Yeah, great. In terms of New York Chicken,
can we go full screen? We can all see the screen, but if we go full screen, we'll have a better visibility.
This is not full screen showing?
No. You can go on the file, drop down. It can help guide you to go full screen. This is now not showing full screen to you? No.
Ali, you need to go on view, then there will be a tab of full screen.
Yeah. How about now? It's not showing you full screen?
Let me operate for you.
Okay, sorry about that.
No worries. You can remove your screen. I'll just operate for you.
While we set up, just some background about our affiliation. So we started with New York Chicken, myself in 2017. Our company, we're based in Bahrain, but we represent them across a very vast region, which is the Gulf region and South Asia. We started off actually in the market of India, which is within South Asia, because India is actually a very, very active market. It is a market with a lot of potential. And also it is a market which we see that there is a big gap in specifically this sector, which is the chicken sector. And so New York Chicken, just to give you some background, it's an American company, and it operates within the quick service restaurant field. And so it's something similar to the names of KFC, Texas Chicken, and other types of chains. But of course, there's some unique points which I'll go through when we go through this presentation with you. At New York Chicken, very much we focus on the customer and what we're offering the customer in terms of quality as well as the service. And Ashana, please, if you can go to the next slide. So just to give you some background, in India, we started in the end of 2018. And we opened the first outlet in the beginning of 2019 in the south state of Karnataka. A total of 6 outlets have been developed there. And we've worked a lot in this market to localized menus. So we have certain offerings which we will show you also throughout this presentation. This is where actually we see a very big potential in India. And because our offering is quite broad. We offer burgers, wraps, and another number of array of items, as well as also a vegetarian offering which we have. And our chicken, it's hand breaded in each outlet. It's prepared in each outlet, and the menu is made up of very different flavors because the city of New York, it's actually a very multicultural city. From peoples of all over the world have actually congregated in this city. So the menu actually reflects that. Next slide, please. In terms of New York chicken, so since actually we started with them, we have actually have a huge amount of interest in this brand, and the amount of investment that has been committed to develop outlets has grown exponentially over the years. So 2020 we haven't updated yet, but we will update it in the future. And so we're seeing a continuous interest in this brand in the regions we cover, as well as in India. Next slide, please. As I mentioned earlier, so the countries that we cover, and this is also, if you have interest in any of these other markets, please feel free to also reach out to Franchiseindia about them. So the countries that we cover are specifically the Gulf region, which is the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, Oman, and Kuwait, and South Asia, which includes India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and other neighboring countries. So these are the areas where we're growing. Currently, operations have been initiated in Bahrain as well as India. Next slide, please. In terms of the development plan in India, and this is something which we've actually worked very closely with the Franchiseindia team based on their expertise and success in the market, we are actually looking to appoint area developers. So area developers would be appointed for each territory. So for example, Delhi NCR, we would seek to appoint an exclusive area developer. So a company or individual who would be on an exclusive basis, and they would have the rights to sub-franchise, but they also require to open their own outlets. We have also put together a very attractive fee sharing mechanism. And there are fees to be shared between us and the area developer, and we have also assigned a very attractive, given the current climate, a very attractive franchise fee to the area developer. So these are the different regions which we actually are seeking developers for. So we have Delhi NCR. We're seeking a minimum of 40 outlets. For a commitment from a developer. And this presentation, if you have any interest about this specific slide, we can share more details after the presentation. We just for sake of this call also and the audience, we have a lot of interest, particularly in the south. So we have a lot of inquiries, and we have reached quite developed stages there. And other regions also, we do have a lot of interest from investors and area developers. Please, can I go to the next slide? In New York Chicken, we actually have 4 different formats for our outlets. So we have what we call the large outlet, which is a full service outlet, which has a dining area. Usually also it includes a party hall. These are more of the larger footfall area outlets. We have a QSR, which we call a quick service restaurant outlet, smaller, more takeaway, and maybe a small dining area. Those are proven quite popular in India. We have food court outlets, which could be in shopping malls, train stations, airports, and other high traffic areas. And we have actually a new format, which is called the cloud kitchen format. This format is actually in line with the trend where the cloud kitchens are a big trend these days, and they rely on delivery only. And especially in India, with the likes of Zomato, Swiggy, and other operators, they have proven to be very, very popular. And so we do have that as part of our format, and this is one of our unique points also. In terms of The setup costs and the financials, these numbers have been put together on quite an indicative level and for guidance only. These figures would change based on locations, especially where there is any advanced rent that will be required for deposits. And so these are just for indicative, but overall, our payback period is less than 2 years for an investment into an outlet. And these are only for the outlets. When you look at the area developer and what type of fees that you would be earning as an area developer, this payback period is much lower. And because there are fees that you would be earning along the way as an area developer. Can we go to the next slide, please? So in terms of what our strengths are, as New York Chicken, it's a very appealing brand. We do always look at including and developing trending menu items. So there is a research and development team that continuously seeks and ensures that we are developing products and menu items which are appealing to the markets we deal in. So for example, in India, as soon as we entered the market, we developed the rice bowl, which we believe is something which is a must and must be included in the menu. So that's something which we have done. In terms of also the brand in general and what our requirements are, there is a low setup cost associated with New York Chicken compared to other chicken and quick service restaurant concepts. We have worked very closely with a number of companies in India to localize the supply chain, and we have received the approvals from the franchisor for these. So the spices, all the breading items, all the secret, you can call it secret ingredients for New York Chicken are now contracted to factories in India and can be sourced locally. This will, number one, save cost. Number two, from logistics also perspective, it is a big advantage. In terms of the opportunities for which we see, first of all, in India, there's a very large market catchment because, first of all, the population is high, as well as the appeal of the products which we offer is quite a wide range of products. So there's a large market catchment for this. And in terms of just in general, our concept is for everybody. I mean, in terms of pricing, we do see ourselves as a mid-priced concept. So we are priced in line, you can say plus and minus 5% from KFC prices in India. The pricing can be discussed with the area developer. So each area each area developer would have the right to define their prices, but with our guidance, because we also want to ensure that there's not major differences. The model is very scalable. So the systems in place and in general, the model is very scalable for New York Chicken. And one of the biggest opportunities we see, especially for India, is the virtual kitchen format. Please can we go to the next slide. Arshan, you can just every few seconds pass through the slide. So I'm just going to take you through some of the menu items we have. So these some images, our burgers and wraps. So these are actually some of our core menu items. Fried chicken. We have a range of sauces we work with. We have also as core items, and we can also include some specialty items if required. So our fried chicken is very popular and it does very well also. We have on the left this is actually called the Chinatown chicken pop. It's one of our best-selling products internationally. It is small pieces of chicken which are actually glazed in different sauces at the customer's request, and this is also has been very popular. And we have actually a product which we've developed for the Indian market specifically, which is a rice bowl including the chicken pop, and some of our burgers and wraps also there. So some more pictures of our burgers, our chicken strips. Again, some pictures of some of our side items, our loaded fries. Here is a section, actually, I want to also talk a bit more about our grilled chicken section. A lot of people ask us about what's different between New York Chicken and other concepts in the same sector. And so the New York Chicken, we actually have an option of grilled and fried. And so the customer has a choice. So if you would like to have your burger in the grilled option, you can. If you want it fried, you can. We also have some other products which are we call it too hot to handle, the very spicy products. And these are all just, the intention is to show you what type of products we have, and a very wide menu, and the research and development that's involved. So we have more than 100 limited time offers, different products, different items which can be provided to you at your own request. Ashan, if you can just go a bit further to some of the other slides where we have the training. Some are grilled items, the rice bowls were developed for India. So this, in terms of also what we offer as a franchise, and the support we provide, this is part of a very important point. The training, we provide training on site. We have a team, and also we deal closely with the Franchiseindia on this, that training would be provided at the store, at your own store. That's going to be our responsibility. If there are restrictions, like there are some today, that will be done virtually. But the training is provided from our side, and this is probably the most important support which we offer. Ongoing training also is offered for staff and management. In terms of other items which we also support on, key items are the kitchen layout design, we provide that. The 3D store design, we provide that. And all the artwork and the artwork required for marketing. So these are some of the items which are provided from our end as part of our support towards area developers and franchisees. And pretty much it is a hand-holding exercise whereby we are here to support and to provide all the guidance required for you. Archana, if you can just go to some of the other slides, just something on the marketing also I want to just touch base on. Some pictures of our outlets. These are outlets which are in India. So in terms of marketing, so the marketing side, the social media marketing, we manage that from our end. And we would work closely with each area developer on what is required in terms of the messaging that you want to send across. But another important point about the marketing, there is a marketing fund which actually is financed through the part of a marketing fund which is taken from all the franchisees. So this marketing fund can be administered for specific marketing whereby it is the benefit of a wide group. So in the next slides, you'll see some examples which we've done in India. Archana, can you just go to the next slide, please? So this is some NCT branding we've done in India. This is in the city of Mangalore for our franchisee there. This was funded and the design all provided from our end, and the funding, the cost of the actual banner placement was paid for through the New York Chicken Marketing Fund, which was specifically for that region. And if in the next slides, Archana, if you can just go to the next slide, please. There are some other examples of marketing which has been placed and the cost of this covered from the marketing fund. And this can be through banners, can be through newspapers, can be through television advertisements. This is something which is decided through a committee, which it will be made up of the area franchisee and ourselves. So here's, for example, some highway branding. And that's the end of the presentation. If you also have any questions, we can answer them now and we can have a discussion. Of course, feel free to reach out to the Franchiseindia team also with any questions you may have, and we'll be more than happy to support you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Ali. The entire presentation was quite detailed out and very, very elaborate. And we understand success for any F&B venture depends on the location, the format. Equally important are the price points, and most importantly, I would say the efficiency of operations. And you've kind of, summed all that up in this presentation. So I'll pick some questions from the audience also, and I'll pick some from my end. And friends, as we do that, because I see sometimes, hands being raised, we cannot unmute you. So I'll request you can put every question that you want to in the Q&A box, and we'll take that up with your name. So Mr. Ali, to start off with, because this is a very competitive, India is a good potential, especially a business format like this and a product like this is a big demand in the country and a huge potential. At
Yes.
the same time, there's a big competition also in the country with maybe some regional players and some national international players already present. So I'll take this question on, what do you think is our edge over maybe the competition which is present both nationally and international companies?
Sure. So first of all, our menu. I would very much focus on our menu, and we are pretty much offering a option of a very big option of fried or grilled. And in terms of when you look at that, also vis-a-vis the operations, so the staffing, the equipment setup, the store size, it's actually very efficient. So in the end, this is a commercial venture. So as a commercial venture, our offering is very commercial. It is also in terms of setup costs. I think I saw some questions about that. So our setup costs relative to the quick service restaurants and international chains is quite low. So our costs range from around 23 lakhs to 43 lakhs. That's the kind of range of this is in India, and this is, has been looked into and based on actuals. So the setup cost is lower. We do have a very long-term vision for our partner, which are the franchises and area developers. So we do also provide a lot of support ranging from and flexibility also, which is very important. And that's probably another important point where we are different than the other international chains. We provide flexibility where not that it will be at the detriment of the brand, but flexibility when it comes to commercial decisions. So for example, equipment. We don't fixate on one brand of equipment. As long as the equipment is workable and the equipment will serve its purpose, we have no problem with approving such equipment. So those are some of the things which actually all goes back into the costs. So this will, in the end, you might be in, for example, a certain region in India where there's the equipment which we have specified might not be available, it might be very expensive to source. On the maintenance side, might be difficult. If you are able to source, and through even our support, that's part of the support we offer, to source equipment which is workable and does performs its functions, we have no issues with that. And so that's some of the differences between New York Chicken and some of the other brands. Of course, plus there are many other differences, but this is probably the two main differences I can highlight to you.
So, Mr. Ali, that's very helpful. And friends, I do see a lot of questions coming. I'll take all these questions one by one. And Mr. Ali, my second question, because we touched upon the equipment, and that's very important aspect in a business like that. And I'll also recap very quickly because I see questions on the size, format, investment. So, friends, we're talking about 4 formats here. One is Cloud Kitchen. We can also do a small takeaway counter or a delivery through Cloud Kitchen. There's a food court format, which is 200 square feet. Cloud Kitchen would need about 400. And then we have a small format, 800, and a bigger format, 1200. And the investment would range from 25 odd lakhs to about 45 odd lakhs for a large format. And I feel this is very, very competitive. And most of the brands of this nature and most of the international brands with this kind of setup would not cost you anything less than 1 CR for a 1200 format. So I've done a big, I would say, cut down on the cost. They have worked very closely with all the suppliers of equipment and try to reduce and ensure your investments initially is less. So Mr. Ali, I'll take one question which is on the equipment because we touched upon the equipment side. So are there any proprietary equipments that are imported, or all these equipments are fabricated, taken or can be procured from India?
So all the equipment we have specific functions of the equipment. So for example, the main equipment is the fryer. The fryer needs to have a timer. So it has to have a computerized control panel for timing and heat, and has a filtration system. We can provide the different types of models which are available in India, which we have been able to source. They are most of them imported, and we haven't actually come across anything manufactured in India so far. However, they are available in India. So there's no need to import anything specific like a New York chicken fryer. No, there is not.
Yeah.
And if it's available locally, you have all the franchisee and area developer have the right to acquire it locally. If they want to import it, they can import it. So there's actually a lot of flexibility there. So to answer the question, it's actually can be sourced locally, and they are available locally. We have also our own experience with that.
Sure, I think that's helpful. And now coming on the supply chain, because supply chain is also very important in any business. So what are we doing as far as supply chain is concerned? Do we have centralized vendors through which the entire supply would be given to our respective franchisees? Or we have maybe a regional franchise vendor who would take care of that? Would you want to talk on the supply chain bit too?
Sure, sure. So first of all, in the supply chain, there are certain items, the marination, and these are all dry, mainly spice-based or you can say dry powder items. So marination, sauce blends, which are spices added to a base sauce, and the breading. So these are breading for the crust of the chicken. So these three main items are actually long life, and they are we have contracted three factories in India. So one in the south, one in central India, and one in the north. These factories have been approved, and we have all the agreements in place whereby they would produce on order. So a franchisee, if they require, and again, we're talking more now about area developers. So the area developer, they're able to acquire directly from the factory. When they have acquired this product, they can then supply. So they can be the supplier to their sub franchisees, or we can also deal through. Actually have done this in Karnataka, whereby we have a distributor. So distributor which can also acquire and sell this product. There are some tax implications, of course. So there again, there is flexibility, and this is what actually I want to also highlight, that there is flexibility in this. All other items like sauces and other items available locally, we have the vendors and the brands required. They are more pan-India, they're pan-Indian suppliers, so they can supply all across India available products in the market. If not, we do have a team which would support to ensure that each item, for example, the bread bun, these type of items are sourced from the local market, because very important for us is that it's sourced locally and it's specified correctly. So from that supply chain, you can say the short life items which are supplied locally, that those items that it's up to the franchisee to find the vendors with our support. But the proprietary items, marination, spice mixes, and breading, those are through three factories you can deal with, and those can be procured directly from the factory or through an appointed distributor.
So I think that this information is very helpful. And Mr. Ali, I'll take question on, while we've covered on the investment bit and we've given bifurcation also of the entire investment that goes in the outlet. So I'll cover some part of that capex, and because I'm seeing questions with respect to the interior design. So if you want to even advise, so we give entire specifications to a franchisee and he would get it executed at his level, or do we have specified vendors through which the execution should take place? Because the entire designing guidelines would come from the company, of course, that has to come from the company. So on the execution part of it, while the franchisee has to do, he can get that executed as per the guidelines of the company, or he needs to get that executed from maybe a specified vendor for the brand.
So actually, let me go back to the point about the design. So the layout, let's start with the layout. The layout, we will provide the layout. So let's say a franchisee or area developer has selected the location. They will give us the plan of that location. So where all the, the sizes, this is the location. And we would work with them to make sure that we provide them an efficient layout. Now, then they would go and get their approvals from the local authorities, for example, the fire department, the health. Based on that approved layout, then we acquire the equipment, and then we will also in the parallel work on the 3D design. So 3D design will be spec'd. A lot of it is it's actually mainly wallpaper. That's how we actually reduce our costs. So a lot of it is going to be designed by wallpaper and then some furniture. The execution of it, we actually do not have a specified a contractor that executes it. So you are free to execute it, but in the end, there will be a visit from our end to ensure that the quality and finishing is to the standards that have been specified. And that will require, once approved, then we would accept for the opening. So, it's not difficult to get it done, but there is a certain standard that needs to be adhered to.
So that's helpful. And still, I'll take one question also on now operating expenses. Typically for a business like this, how much of the expense goes towards food cost? How much of that you think should ideally be allocated for real estate, which is the rentals and other components, including royalties? And after taking out all these costs, typically, what is the net margin which a franchise partner can make? So, if you want to give an example of maybe an outlet making an X amount, and how much of the money or percentage maybe we can talk about goes towards food and other respective heads.
Sure, sure. So in terms of, first of all, food costs. So our food cost is actually around 32%. That's how we estimate it, our food cost. And I'll just take you through the income, like how we look at it. So let's say we take a typical outlet. Let's say its annual revenues coming to, and I'm not sure this is correct. I think it is, let me just, okay, let's say monthly. It's coming to, let's say 12 lakhs a month, okay? Or this is, well, again, I'm not sure about the Indian currency, how the commas, but let's just take the example of 12 lakhs. From that, we would say the food cost is around 30 to 32% food cost. Employee costs, so we would look at around, so this is coming to monthly, around 160, so 160 lakhs, 1.6 lakhs per month. And then there would be the rental cost, which we would see around 2.5 lakhs per month. So around 17%, the rental cost, okay? And then all other costs, when we take it into consideration, we would look at, you would have around, just make a percentage of this. So I have these numbers here. Around 15% you'd have as a net.
Correct.
And these figures we can share with anyone who's interested. When we reach that stage, we'll share the figures which can be run on an actual basis for their specific regions. But in general, the payback period is less than 2 years for an outlet.
And Mr. Ali, how about the staff, and how important is for an outlet to keep a skilled staff? And I understand for a product like this, you don't need too many specialized people, experienced people. They can easily be trained. So, would you want to comment on the staff training and also recruitment? How is that staff recruited? Any assistance which the company gives? So, anything on the staff recruitment, manpower training you want to mention?
Sure. So on staffing and how our system has been designed, and this is again based on the history of New York Chicken as a brand and the experience they have, the training is very much focused on the management. So the management can be the franchisee themselves, their own family members, or an external party who's incentivized in a way for the long term. So the focus is on them as management. Then there's actually a program called Train the Trainer. So this program, we are training the management to become a trainer themselves. So whereas when staff are actually not, for example, there's a high turnover of staff, and this is normal in this type of business. It is very easy to actually train any newcomers who come in. So those programs we provide, and we focus a lot on the training to the management. So the person, the individuals who will actually continue to be in the operations. We also have everything documented. So there are training videos. There are everything is documented in terms of workflows, and everything is actually placed in the restaurant very simply. And our operations, because it's been designed in a certain way, it's actually not very complicated. Because we have a very a good system in place for the preparation, for the production, for the service. So all of this is being put together in a way where we are not reliant on staff. We're not even reliant on management. In the end, things will move and will go forward fine, because if you just follow the steps, and they're very simple steps there. So we do have in place a system and a process for the high staff turnover, which is normal in this type of sector. And that's part of the Train the Trainer program, which will the management, as well as we always encourage the franchisees or area developers themselves to also undertake it.
Right. And also, like Mr. Ali mentioned, all that training happens at the outlet, the franchise outlet itself. But I'm sure, once the market would open up, and since the brand is already operating in a lot of countries outside India, especially UAE and many other countries in Asia, you all have an opportunity to also visit and maybe get trained at one of the centers in Bahrain. And I'll take questions, Mr. Ali. I see, some of these are already being answered. I see a lot of questions from Mr. Abhishek Panda. I think we've kind of covered all these questions. On the competition, we have covered up. I'll take one question from Mr. Uwais. He's asking if the product that we are using is that Yahiba halal.
Okay, so the product, so we prefer to go with halal, okay, because it actually opens for the wider market. However, it is up to the area developer. So if the area developer is not seeking to offer halal, to provide a halal offering, it's up to them. And I'll give an example about this. Is some of the case studies that we've been studying in the market of the UK. So the UK, it is not a halal market, okay? But a lot of the restaurant chains, they do offer halal because it doesn't close out a certain customer. So we prefer if we can go with halal, but of course it's not a requirement. It's not something which is a requirement, but it's something which can be, and we're open to it, of course. So just to answer that question, yes, it's not necessarily has to be, okay, but in the end, it's all about the customers who you're serving. So if you require to offer halal, then you should offer it.
Yeah, and I think India market is open, and that's what most of the brands are doing, and halal is being offered all across. So I think that answers Mr. Way's question. I'll take one question from Mr. Rajesh and Mr. Lee, because we're already speaking and because we're working with you very closely, and we are speaking to some of the prospective investors, and more of on the area franchise partnership, which is long term.
Yes.
And South is a very big market for this product, and a huge demand. And there's still, I would say, a potential for many brands to penetrate. So the question which Mr. Rajesh has is on, he wants, maybe I'll read that out. Can you give me more details on Tamil Nadu and Kerala market? Do you have any outlets in these above states? I think what he's trying to know is the potential maybe in these markets, and if there's an opportunity for him to partner. And these two are very, very good markets, very potential markets for NYC. Over to you, Mr. Lee.
So these are two key markets, definitely. We have seen a huge amount of interest in the market of Kerala, a lot of interest there. It has very big potential, both from the point of view of investors, so sub-franchisees. So you as an area developer, you get the exclusive rights for that region. Then you open your own outlets, and also you can sub-franchise. So there's a lot of interest there. Currently, we don't have actually any outlets there. We are still in negotiation, and actually we've reached quite advanced stages for Kerala. Tamil Nadu, specifically Chennai market, we have looked into a lot, but we haven't progressed with anybody yet there. So those are two big markets. Definitely Tamil Nadu, in particular Chennai, from what I understand, is a very big market, and Kerala also. And just to answer the question, we don't have currently any outlets there, and we're open to discuss further with you.
Right. And I think we have Mr. Abhishek Panda. Rather, he wants to connect with you for further information. So, Mr. Panda, we are putting our email ID and our phone number. You can reach out on this, and we'll connect you with Mr. Ali for a detailed discussion. And which other cities are we looking for? So, I have Mr. Bheem for Hyderabad. So Hyderabad again, I feel is a big potential. And friends, I'll just retweet because you're asking for many markets. We're open for Pan India. And South India is a huge potential and maybe one of the priority, I would say, regions for NYC to enter. And equally, metro cities like Delhi and Bombay. So that being a priority. So Hyderabad also is open. And since NYC is planning to be in India, and that's the reason we're looking at ideally area franchise partners who can then support maybe further sub-franchisees under them. So, Mr. Ali, I have a question from Mr. Javed Khan. He's saying if there's a good opportunity for a unit franchisee, and if we don't have a area franchise in that location, would we be open, especially in the state of Karnataka? He's asking.
Yeah, yes, definitely. I mean, in Karnataka, what we've done is we've gone actually more for multi-unit agreements. So, I mean, we can discuss a single unit, but we have done, for example, in Mangalore, it was a multi-unit agreement whereby that municipal area is given on an exclusive basis to the franchisee, and they develop a certain number of outlets within a certain time frame. So we are open to that in terms of Karnataka, definitely.
And Mr. Rajesh also wants to connect with you, Mr. Ali, and we'll do that. And Mr. Bheem for Hyderabad So friends, just reiterating, all these inquiries are welcome, and we'll be open ideally for an area partner. And if there's a good location, especially in the metros, which is a priority, and the location is strategic for New York to open, we would also be more than happy to discuss and see a possibility of an association. And we'll take up all your questions because I see some questions which requires maybe maybe in-depth understanding and discussion over a call, Zoom call. And we'll be more than happy to take any questions one-to-one with Mr. Ali. And I see some request also in the Q&A box where you want to connect with him. So I will request all of you friends, I think Ashna's already put our hotline number in the chat box. So it is 9717683838. And you can also write on our email ID, which is feedback@franchiseindia.in. Both these information you can find in the chat box. You can copy and write to us. And at the same time, we'll also reach out to all of you who want to connect with Mr. Ali. We'll send you all email after this webinar gets over. We'll seek a time and take convenient time both from you as well as with Mr. Ali. And we'll fix maybe a call for further discussion. Hello, Mr. Amandeep Singh. So if you have anything, you can put in the Q&A box. And since we're coming close to our webinar, friends, I will request if there's anything that you think has not been answered or you need more discussion speaking to Mr. Ali, we are more than happy to extend that to all of you and facilitate that meeting, and also perhaps maybe a potential association which can happen. And Mr. Ali, as we close, I will request if you want to say anything as your closing remarks on the opportunity business at large. Over to you.
I just want to also mention that we have seen a huge amount of requests from our franchisees, current franchisees in India, to develop the videos. So because in India, a big popular media channel is the television and cinemas. So we have actually focused a lot in the past year on developing that, and we have a very good media and like videos developed. And we are also looking at maybe more localizing it, so more actors from India to be involved, models from India to be involved. So we always listen to our franchisees and partners, what they require, okay, and we are ready to support them. Because in the end, we want to make sure that our partners who are our franchising area developers are equipped with the right tools for success, because your success is our success. And so that is, I just want to mention that as a closing remarks.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ali. And we're also proud to partner with you. And equally, we are very impressed by the growth that you have achieved, especially in the last 1.5 years. I think every time we communicate, we talk about a new market where NYC is opening, and we take a lot of pride when we also inform our prospective investors on the same. So with your success in operating more than 20 odd markets and countries, I would say India holds a good opportunity, and we see some good interest coming from like-minded potential partners, which we would take after the webinar, maybe a one-to-one discussion with all of them. And so thank you so much, Mr. Ali, for being with us. I'd like to thank all our friends who've come in and they took time to spend the last 50 odd minutes on the webinar, asking all your questions, and rest be assured, we'll come back to you, and to your satisfaction, we'll answer every smallest query of yours. And we understand it's a one-time decision, it's an investment that you want to make, it's a livelihood decision. So, and Mr. Ali is also very, very sensitive about the same, and he would go in-depth understanding of your market, and having, while he's sitting out of Bahrain, but he has very big experience and exposure of working in almost every international market as big as US, UK, and has been also operating F&B brands by himself, and equally big understanding on the Indian market. So I will request all of you to reach out on the hotline number. You can book your slot, and we'll reach out to Mr. Ali to block your time. And with this, I'd like to request Ashna to kindly take it over. And before I do that, Mr. Amandeep Singh is looking for Amritsar, which is in Punjab. Punjab, again, is a very good market. And Mr. Singh, we'll also reach out to you. We'll connect with you. We'll send you entire information. And like I said, we'll block time with Mr. Ali. Over to you, Ashna.
So thank you so much, Mr. Ali, for joining in today. It was a great pleasure to interact with you. Thank you so much. Our best wishes with you. Thank you so much, Sonia ma'am, for all your suggestions, taking this and hosting the webinar. We would like to thank our dear participants who have joined us today for this great webinar. Please do reach out to us at our business hotline number, which is 97176 83838. We request each one of you to save this number in your phone book so that you get a regular updates from our side. We try to answer many of the queries. Still, all the unanswered queries will be answered by us within 48 hours working hours. Also connect with us at different social handles, information on your screen. Share your suggestion and feedback because that will help us in improving our process. Connect with Gaurav sir and Sonia ma'am at their respective LinkedIn IDs. And as in the beginnings, Sonia ma'am informed each one of us our Bharat Franchise Show. Today we are inviting each one of you to join us for Bombay chapter under Bharat Franchise Show, which will start at 7 p.m. We are bringing top 7 business opportunities for you, where the brand's representative would come and talk about their business model. So please do registration so that you can join us and enjoy the webinar starting at 7 p.m. And tomorrow, under business opportunity of a chai webinar series, we are bringing a brand which comes under a very low cost opportunity. You can start the business with 1 lakh rupees only. The brand UWO will come and talk about how they have become a leader in digital solution provider brand. So please do registration for our Bombay show at 7 p.m. today and business opportunity with chai 12 p.m. webinar tomorrow. Thank you once again for joining in today. Have a very safe day. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
friend.
you,
Thank you again, Mr. Ali. Thank you,
Good day,
Archana.
everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, ma'am. Bye. Take care.